After the northern kingdom fell at the hands of the Assyrians, many of the inhabitants fled down to the southern kingdom. Even here, they did not escape the might of the Assyrian Empire, as the southern kingdom was reduced to a vassal state. They had to pay a tribute to the Assyrians to keep some form of independence. It was towards the last year of Assyrian reign that Judah experienced their greatest religious reform. Biblical literature tells the story of how the priest Hilkiah found the scroll of the law in the temple and brought it to King Uzziah. King Uzziah was so impressed that he embarked on a reformist crusade where he destroyed the Baal and Asherah cult in Jerusalem, the whole of Judah, and even what was left of the northern kingdom. Scholars believe that this scroll of the law was the earliest beginnings of the book of Deuteronomy, which can be traced back to the northern kingdom. The working theory is that it was probably brought down when the north fell, but only circulated within the confines of the temple. There are strong similarities between the language used in the scrolls and the language used within Assyrian vassal treaties in the 7th century BCE. These similarities show that Judah was heavily influenced by the different cultures surrounding it. For example, we read in a vassal treaty involving the Assyrian king Ashur-Haden, "If you do not love the crown prince Ashurbanipal, son of your lord Ashur-Haden, king of Assyria, as you do your own lives." In Deuteronomy 6 verse 5, we find the following: "You must love Yahweh your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength." The book of Deuteronomy would be expanded and reinterpreted many times still, only to be concluded centuries later. Such an important role did the authors and redactors of this developing document play that the input is known as the Deuteronomistic history, being responsible for the books of Deuteronomy right through to 2 Kings and other selective Old Testament literature. The message of these authors was that Jerusalem was the only holy place where Yahweh could be worshipped. It also stated that Yahweh was jealous and that Israel were not permitted to worship any other gods, as Yahweh loved Israel and chose them exclusively as his people. We should not be fooled into thinking King Uzziah's religious reform was completely religiously motivated. By centralizing the cult of Yahweh in Jerusalem, he also centralized his power there, dictating what people could believe and who they could worship, placed them under his control. There's a strong probability that King Uzziah realized that Assyria was losing control, and he was preparing to re-establish Judah and possibly usher in a renewed united kingdom. In the meantime, two superpowers were competing to replace Assyria. They were Egypt and Babylonia. King Uzziah's mistake was that he tried to prevent the Egyptians from helping the Assyrians against the Babylonians. This proved to be a fatal decision, as he lost his life in this battle. In a twist of fate, Babylonia became the superpower, which would cause the fall and exile of the southern kingdom of Judah a decade later. In the eyes of the Deuteronomists, though, King Uzziah could do no wrong. The fall of Judah would be blamed on King Manasseh, Josiah's predecessor, because of his disobedience to Yahweh. According to the Deuteronomists, all the good of King Uzziah, and in their eyes he was indeed the best king of them all, could not make up for the deeds of the most evil king, Manasseh. In the next episode, we will look at the last of the biblical literature dating back to the southern kingdom, before we discuss what happened to the Israelites after the fall of the kingdom at the hands of the Babylonians.